important because despite the truth being out there, a lot of people don't know. They will speak more so of climate change than they will the actual problem, the actual root cause of what's happening, where it's going, and how bad it's going to get. Because these things are in our future. It's not just in the Bible anymore. The evidence is there and it's been there. Okay. We are, as a matter of fact, in a magnetic pole reversal. Those are often precursors to a pole shift, a life ending event on planet Earth. We've been having these magnetic pole reversal signs for sure for a few years now, at least. If you didn't remember the Texas blizzard, that was actually a result of what is actually happening. We're going to dive into this. All right. Scroll up on my notes just a little bit. Life on Earth is in peril, and it really is. Earth ending event is underway, meaning the pole shift. And in Mark 13:8, Jesus talks about the things that would be happening, like earthquakes. Okay? I think I've got cat fur on my nose. Okay. Boy, do I have some interesting things to talk about with you people today, brothers and sisters. Mark 13:8. For nation shall rise against nation and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be earthquakes in divers places, and there shall be famines and trouble. As it turns out, a magnetic pole reversal will cause all of those problems: famine, earthquake, and more. All right. In the movies, everything begins and rapidly goes into hyper mode. You know, you'll see in 2012 that movie where it's like he barely has time to get to the house and the cracks are following right behind him. It's everything happens so fast. But in reality, we see the signs building over time. Again, we have been, and they seem to have kicked up a notch to that next notch. And so it's really important we have this talk, okay? And what signs are we seeing? Just today, we're having reports of Hawaii. Kilauea is erupting again, among many other volcanoes. All right. Now, we have the Canadian wildfires. And from the east side of the continent, of the North American continent, it's on the east side. But we have a lot of magma for sure on the west side that's been causing, on the west coast, causing a lot of fires. But the Canadian fires are in the news right now because it's also so bad that it's causing breathing problems in 13 different states. And I remember telling y'all at least a year ago, God is telling me gas masks, not necessarily gas masks, but masks to help you breathe. I said gas masks, but yeah, you're going to need that. It's not going to be just for this area, you know, anywhere there can be fire, any kind of like chemical plant fire, you're going to need at some point an apparatus to help clear whatever may be in the air, like ash from a volcano. All right, we also have a pretty good quake that happened in Haiti. They're reporting that Mount Hood is has magma infill, and there's an earthquake swarm there right now, as well as volcanoes north of Mount Hood, like Mount St. Helens, Mount Rainier. We've been hearing about that too. Now, one of the things that I noticed that was very interesting recently was that North Carolina, about 7 days ago, had an earthquake. They seem to be having earthquakes, North Carolina. If you look at the USGS map and say, like, click on the settings for 30 days, all earthquakes, and zoom in on the Carolinas, you'll see that they're getting a quake about every week now. And what I've explained before is that there is evidence that the Gulf of Mexico is responsible for the quakes in North Carolina, the New Madrid, and another fault that runs through Texas into Louisiana, like Shreveport going up. But it's like a fork, but it all originates from the Gulf of Mexico. And that meant, so when I saw North Carolina acting up and the New Madrid and some other things, just starting to pop up in those areas, I was like, Gulf of Mexico must be under a lot of pressure. And sure enough, we had a quake in the Gulf of Mexico. Now, what was really interesting about the North Carolina quake is that it just happened to come uh, like a day after North Carolina had been convening over whether Israel should have a two-state solution or not. It's true. Let me see. The article was written, what date is that? May 31st, 2023. Okay. It's the Jewish Insider, and the title is North Carolina Democrats Prepare for Heated Platform Fight Over Israel. I'm not going to read the whole article, but I think maybe the first two paragraphs will be sufficient. The North Carolina Democratic Party is currently weighing a series of contentious new platform resolutions that could escalate internal divisions over Israel, just as party members are seeking to unify ahead of a pivotal election cycle if approved in the coming weeks. The proposed, now see that, if approved in the coming weeks, thumbs up with Israel. The proposed resolutions, which have not yet been finalized, are largely included in a detailed platform section on international relations. The focus is almost exclusively on Israel and Middle East policy, according to a recent draft viewed by Jewish insiders. So, most Christians know you mess with Israel, you're messing with the chances that we're going to get divided. Now, a lot of people have had visions of America being divided along the New Madrid. My vision was that something to do with Israel would cause a Texas and Gulf of Mexico disaster. And evidence is very, very strong. If the Gulf of Mexico is connected to the New Madrid, then it is very possible. And there are reports that have been coming out that the Gulf of Mexico is hot underneath the Gulf of Mexico, not just temperature from the sky. We've got these earthquakes going off, and I don't think they report all of those earthquakes in the Gulf of Mexico. They can't possibly be. All right, so we're seeing prophetic and geological evidence at the same time that a major catastrophe is coming for the United States of America. Now, if you have internet, and most of y'all do, and you can go to USGS, I want you to look at something really strange I saw. It was, just look from like the area of the Gulf of Mexico to like, I don't know, a little closer to Africa, the West Side Africa. If you go 30 days, all earthquakes, there is a spot of dots in a straight line going straight into the Atlantic for miles, and it shows that there's, even Mike from around the world was saying there's a big rip in the Atlantic, and it's growing. What if that's it? But I mean, you can see it's a line going straight to the Gulf of Mexico, and I mean that's from the earthquakes. That includes the Gulf of Mexico earthquake we had recently. I'm just looking at the comments real quick. Hello, Daryl, TNT, Debbie, Kathleen, MC, Adrian, JS, bringing in the Ice Age. Well, when the polls split, it's going to be very much like what happened with the woolly mammoths. Okay, 1 minute they were in a lush tropical jungle type of area, eating sunshine, and in a flash, they were they were in an icy one because the crust had moved, and they were no longer located as close to the sun as they were. Now, what you might want to know is what causes a magnetic pole reversal. Well, there's a reason why. We know that it happens every so many thousands of years, like 780,000, something like that, right? It's a lot of years, but it happens about that amount of time, which tells you that it's cyclical. That in space, things come back around. And what we have is a binary solar system, which means that we have a twin solar system that we're interlocked with. So when the planets in that twin system are close to ours, it affects every planet in our solar system, including the sun. All right, and these planets are so big, they're so massive that it really overpowers our own magnetics. Okay, it's causing the weather, it's causing the radiation to come in, right? Because our shields aren't as strong, and that radiation hit the core. It started heating up the core and expanding. So you start noticing a lot of volcanoes starting to act up more and more, not just on land that you can see, but also the ones that you can't see, which are subsea. Okay, and even the Gulf of Mexico has them. All right. All right, I'm just checking the comments. All right. Now, so don't take your eyes off the Gulf of Mexico. Don't do it for a minute. North Carolina is acting up, as well as the New Madrid, and you know something's up in the Gulf. All right, that's all I've got to say. Whether they show it or admit it, that's the truth. But what you want to, if you want to learn just a little bit more, sometimes people make movies. Okay, there is a movie. I put a link down in the description box. It's an old one, but at 45 minutes in, it starts describing very much what has been happening to us, like the slowing down of the earth, the reversal of the core, um, a lot of the grid problems, and it explains why. All right, but 45 minutes in, if you want to skip ahead, he goes on for about 8 minutes. Now, in their movie, they say it's a buildup of nuclear explosions or something that finally just, but that's really not the reality of why ours is happening. Okay, and when you're going through a magnetic pole reversal, these are some of the things that you will see building over time. Okay, but you'll see all of it leading up to the pole reversal itself. And if you want to know the timing of it, then you have to know the signs of a magnetic pole reversal to begin with, and how bad it can get before the pole shift actually happens. Right? That way you can read the freak weather and the earthquakes for yourself, not just somebody telling you. You can be like, oh wow, okay, we knew this was coming. This is getting really bad. This is getting really bad, and it's all happening at the same time, like Mount Hood, Hawaii, Canada fires. The Gulf of Mexico. It's all happening at the same time. Things are getting stronger, and you will see increased power outages, phone issues, internet issues, problems with electronics in general. Let me see here. Increase. Okay. Where I must. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Increase in earthquakes, volcanic activity, earth rips. Yes, the earth will be ripping open, much like what you're seeing in Africa right now. You're going to see it in the United States. Rumor has it ripping is happening in the Atlantic Ocean. You're going to see earth rips. There's also one coming from like Mexico all the way into Arizona. There's quite a few of them now. Mystery booms heard from phenomenal pressure on Earth's mantle. These mystery booms, that's where they're coming from. The mantle is under that much pressure. Okay? So it's going to let off these sonic booms, because of what's happening down there, but it ricochets off of the atmosphere, so we can't really tell where it's coming from. But if you're hearing these booms, you need to know your area underfoot is unstable. It is becoming more and more unstable, especially if you're hearing a lot of these booms. All right, they might even be accompanied by sinkholes, but you will see sinkholes popping up all over. You will see multiple magnetic poles. That is what we have now because they split. Landslides, road buckling, mass animal and fish deaths, coastal water inundation, magnetic anomalies, drought, forest fires, tsunami. Okay, what we're going to end up having is the water's going to come up out of the cradle of the bed it sits in. All of them at some point, they're going to come up out of their beds and up on shore. Think about that. That's the kind of level we're coming to. And we're on the cusp of that right now. Okay? You will see GPS issues, return of old and ancient illnesses, inertia, strange animal and insect behavior, increase in radiation, symptoms like cancer. Well, cancer is not a symptom, but you will get cancer. You'll see an increase in that. You'll feel more nauseous more often, bone density issues. You'll see an increase in rage, anxiety, depression, and murder. And the reason for that is because, like the Earth is kind of running smoothly because of electromagnetics and frequency, our brains run off the exact same thing. So if the Earth's frequency and magnetics are off, so are ours. And if we're not rooted in Christ, we're going to become more and more short fused. Okay? So if you're wondering why people just can't take anything at all, they're super sensitive, that might be a reason. And a very good one, very, very good one. Jesus talked about peace being taken from the earth in the latter days. Okay? Wars would be happening. There is a war going on in Ukraine. Okay? But let me remind everyone that when it comes to prophecy, the United States is not the timepiece. It's not the timepiece for prophecy. Neither is Ukraine. It is Israel. Okay? That's very important. Israel is literally the key to all of this. Okay? Because I'm telling you, the minute, and this is coming in the latter days, the minute they finally begin to believe in Jesus Christ as the Messiah, when they finally begin to really realize as a nation and repent, they're going to open up the door for everything that used to be able to take place in the Old Testament. It's been a very long, 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 long time that Israel has been just, they're just always having problems. They're never really victorious or anything. They don't have what they should have as a holy nation. But the minute they stop operating in unbelief, everything is going to change. Okay? And they will. When it talks in Jeremiah, I think it's Jeremiah 29, when the nations go to attack Israel and God does something, he says, then they will know that I am God. And things are going to change. I'm telling you, they will realize. They're going to catch up. Even despite their Mashiach they think they found, they're going to realize it. So with that, okay, what were the other things? Yes, you'll experience skin burns, growing zone shifts, which we have, wicked freak storms, out of season weather, high wind issues, and the wind's going to start getting really, really bad. It's just starting to kick up. Watch storms, dude. Seriously. Crop issues will get worse. Famine is going to take over. That's the four horsemen. And the four horsemen just happen to be collectively describing a magnetic pole reversal. And we are overdue for a pole shift. We absolutely are ready for that. And because a magnetic pole reversal precludes the pole shift and we're overdue, yeah, you have to start thinking about what's really important to you. You know, you have to ask God, hey, what do you want me to do? I know I have a spot in this tapestry too, and I know that God has told me what I need to do to fulfill what I need to do in Him. And for everybody, it's going to be just a little bit different. Some of us are going to get called before others home in different ways at different times. We just have to be ready. Okay, we don't have to know when, why, how, whatever, none of that. We just have to know that most of us are getting ready to leave this earth. So there will be survivors. God does that. There's always some kind of remnant. This is not going to be any different. But most of us are getting ready to meet our Maker. Now, with all of this in mind, when you know the pressure is coming up from the earth, that things are going this bad, we're getting ready for a pole shift. When you look at all these green policies that are just outrageous, why? Think about that. Why are they going green? Because they know they can't drill so much. What if the real reason they're trying to go green is because of what will happen to their equipment? What's going to end up happening with these tsunamis? And even with the Gulf of Mexico, Biden recently auctioned off some leases for oil drilling companies in the Gulf of Mexico, but they were only for the east side of the Gulf, not the west side. Why? What if that's the real reason all these countries are trying to do this? Why they're trying so hard? Because they know how hard it's going to be. And let me tell you, I had an episode, what was it? Sunday. I was pulling too many ants, and the cord to my house burned and melted, and my power went off for a fourth time in 3 weeks. I didn't even have my batteries charged all the way yet because it's kind of a slow process, to be honest. 3 batteries, and the packs get hot. And when you think about the rolling blackouts that we're going to have in the eventuality of no electricity at all, it's a lot harder than you think it is. And I just had a few days of it, and I was exhausted because it was also hot. That heat will take everything out of you when you sleep at night if it's still too hot, but the anxiety, that in the car, I have to park it until like Thursday or Friday, waiting for a part to come in because my lower bulb joint is done. It's just done. So all this stress, that's why I haven't been on here, because I literally got the shakes from just all the stuff that I had to worry about and somehow get the kids back and forth to work. And it's been rough. So I'm sorry y'all haven't seen me a whole lot. And I hate to tell you, but there's a reason why Canada is having fires. They've been having earthquakes up in that area too. There is a lot of magma moving underneath the east side of the United States going into Canada, as well as the west side of the continent going into Mexico. A lot of volcanoes, a lot. And that magma, it's coming up. It's under a lot of pressure, which means that a lot of the rock that was with that magma is turning into magma. Also, the rock is melting. Things are crumpling, okay? I'm telling you, the ground under your feet isn't stable. The skies, and if you are not rooted in Jesus Christ, okay, there's just going to be too much to really take on. And not having power, that's going to be rough. That's going to be really rough. Even if you have batteries, it's not as simple as it sounds. Not with these solar generators. When my power went off, the weather was awful. Thank God everybody had theirs on, but in a grid down situation, you can't just plug in your battery at somebody else, Okay. This world is temporary, right, Humberto? Focus on Jesus now. That's right. Great, champ. Thank you, Rosalind. Welcome. Welcome. We're always so glad to have you. Thank you, Lord. Yellowstone burps. It does. Thank you, MC. All right. So, what I'm looking for, and this is really what all of us should know. I mean, we know, we feel that it's coming. We can see the signs, the things that are building, and even evidence now that something just isn't quite right in the Gulf of Mexico. And it's not just the earthquakes. It's not just what we've learned about where those earthquakes are leading to, which is on land here. It's also the mysterious behavior of a president that wants to go green as soon as possible. There might be more reason for that than you think. He wants to ban gas stoves, which could kill a lot of people. That's really scary. That's like the newest thing. It's up there in the north, but still, they get a lot colder than we do in Texas on the norm, right? But if there's no propane, okay, and cooking with an electric stove, how are you going to do that in a grid situation now? So you're going to have to. The north is going to have to learn what a barbecue pit is. Get one, right? If you got twigs, some charcoal, whatever, some lighter fluid, put it to the side. Make sure that you soak your briquettes in lighter fluid just let them set for a good 30 minutes before you light that fire, and do it from a distance or you'll catch your eyebrows and hair on fire. All right. But yeah, you're going to have to learn about alternative cooking sources, and especially like if you want to go undetected, they have these cute little cans now that rotate the smoke inside, so it's a smokeless thing. All right. So if you're far away enough they can't smell it and you don't want anything to pick up heat or, I mean, at least smoke, that's a good device to think about. Yeah, I think America's on its way down. And if you don't think that we're getting close on that in America, there has been news, I think as of today, about Biden wanting to step things up with Israel. I told y'all this was coming at some point, and they're talking about, like, I don't know, it just seems like it's a lot of talk. Election time coming up, and they really want to do this Israel peace thing. They're really interested in it, and I don't know, so who knows when they're talking smack, but when you see North Carolina talking about it, and like the next day there's an earthquake, and then there's the next day after that there's like one in the Gulf. Very suspect considering the history of what happens to America when they just talk about it. It's coming. It's coming. Most of the attempts would fail, but eventually this is coming. And they're going to invade. Russia and some other nations are going to invade here first. That's also prophecy. All right. Yes, persecution is already taking a rise. A lot of people are starting to put their eyes on the fifth seal because Christian martyrdom is increasing globally. All right. All right. I think that's it, everybody. Just wanted to give you guys some food for thought. I missed all of you, and I hope to see all of you super, super soon. Don't forget that movie link is in the description box just in case. You might find that a little bit interesting. All right. Love you guys. Bye.